Hi everyone, welcome to Fit to Facts podcast, another episode. Happy to have Craig O'Shaughnessy on the podcast. And, we're here in Burnt on Princeton Street, so big thanks to Burnt for having us in here. So Craig, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I just want to say thanks for having me, Stu. My name's Craig O'Shaughnessy. I'm a personal trainer, coffee lover, all-round nice guy, really. So yeah, looking forward to having a chat with you now today.
No worries, Craig. I suppose always starting off, I always ask people on the podcast, was there a turning point in their life or an influence that kind of influenced their view on society? So do you have any kind of...
It might sound a bit cliche like most people I suppose, but I suppose from a young age it would have been my parents. My dad mainly for the fact that I'm heavily involved with martial arts since I was 4 years old. So through martial arts I learned discipline, respect, self-respect and all that kind of stuff. So I think my dad being at such a high level in kickboxing and the sport at that time, he would have been kind of a huge role model for me. Still is to this day. He's still the main person that I look up to in my life and aspire to be like. So yeah, my dad really will be the one.
Yeah,
definitely.
So kickboxing is a big part of your life, so is it?
It is, yeah, big time. It's more of a family affair, really. I don't even look at it as like being a big part of my life. I've never known any different, you know. So from such a young age, 4 or 5 years old, started off in Taekwondo. My dad would have been involved in that first, and then when he transitioned over to kickboxing, I followed over with him. All my brothers are now also involved in kickboxing, so it really is kind of an all-family thing. We'd be at a very high level competitively. My dad would have travelled the world when we were younger, winning multiple world titles. And thankfully we followed in his footsteps. Yeah. I've won a couple of world titles, my brothers have, and we continue and hopefully win another couple along the way.
Yeah, so that whole journey from what age 4 was it up to now, like what avenues had that opened, like what experiences that given you to your life?
I've been able to learn lots of kind of life lessons as well from it. So things like having the highest of highs, winning world championships, to losing, I think I lost 4 or 5 I think it was 4 world championships in a row. Jeez. Finals, so 4 silver medals before I won my first gold back to back, like. So I've had the lowest of lows as well, and it teaches you that like you can get knocked down in life and just pick yourself back up, dust yourself off, and get back on it. Like,
I suppose you just were talking about how it's all in your family, it's a family affair kind of, like kickboxing, and them 4 defeats in a row. Bringing that home, how did that psychologically affect you? Because I suppose if someone else could just go home and say, look, I came second in the family.
Yeah, 100%. It's a tricky one for me in the sense that, like you said, going home after winning like 4 silvers in a row, it never got any easier. And while we were travelling, it was kind of a bittersweet for me, because when I'd come home with a silver, my dad or one of my brothers was also coming home with a gold, you know. So you've got that kind of family banter as well about it. But yeah, so as much as it hurts me to get those silvers, it honestly, I'm not just saying that, it means as much to me to watch my brothers or my dad win a goal, like, yeah.
So like when other families are going on holidays and stuff, are you going off to world championships and fighting as a family, really?
Pretty much, like we've travelled the world and we get to go abroad probably more than most families or most couples or people or whatever. But it's literally, when we're going away, everyone's saying, oh, you have a great life, but like, and like we're blessed to be able to go travel and to be able to do that, but it's literally hotel to arena, hotel to arena, hotel to arena, to airport to home, you know. So it's strictly business when you're over there with plenty of good food. But yeah, we're very lucky. Like.
And I suppose when you are a fighter, so when fighters are preparing for competitions, there's a lot of emotions going on.
Completely.
How does that work when you're travelling as a family, when everyone's going through their own emotional battle and stuff?
Yeah, well, that's actually a very, very good question. That's a very good question. I'll give you credit for that. We're not the greatest bunch to be around, I'd say. Like the week before, or even travelling, there's some tournaments where you're cutting weight, and you know you might have done a water load the week before, so you've had no food but water, and then you're cutting the water out to flush it out of the body. So you're getting on a plane, you haven't eaten in 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
You've got to travel. You could be getting 2 or 3 flights. Like we went to just before the last lockdown. We had the World Championships in Niagara Falls, so we flew Dublin. So car journey to Dublin, Dublin to Boston, Boston to Niagara Falls. So it's nearly a full day traveling with no food for some people that were with us. I was lucky. I was okay, but. Yeah, it's not the prettiest, it's not the most glamorous, you know, but it's definitely worth it, you know.
But in your younger ages, when like you and your brothers were traveling and stuff, like how does your mother fight as well? Or
No,
is
no,
the father?
yeah, just my dad, yeah.
Yeah, so
yeah.
like when they're trying to manage their own weight and then parent young kids as well, like
100%.
that must be fucking chaotic.
Absolutely, yeah, it's nuts, but I suppose again, like my brothers are 6 and 7 years younger than me.
Right.
I also have another little brother, he's only 8, but no pressure on him to fill any shoes. But yeah, with my other brothers, I think with me first, they kind of had an idea, because my brothers were kind of younger when I started travelling internationally first with my dad. So my mum and dad worked really well together. They have a great relationship. They're not together now, but they work brilliantly as parents, like, so we're lucky that way. And they kind of got it down to a T, that nice balance of watching over us, but kind of like still letting us be kids at the same time and enjoy our lives, you know. It was never a case that it was like a military camp for us.
No.
We were never forced to do anything, which was great. So with kickboxing for us, it was just my dad made sure that we did it just because we loved it, you know. So yeah.
And I suppose seeing your parents managing all them dynamics must bring a great influence into your own personal life when you're an adult, going how to manage things, that dynamics of
hugely, yeah. So like with them, they're both really good people, great morals. Again, we got a lot of those kind of morals and discipline and respect, I suppose, just for everyone. And as many world titles as we won, and I said there was a bit of family banter and stuff, we were always made sure our feet were kept firmly on the ground. As you know, you talk to me all the time anyway. I know we've a bit of crack or whatever, but yeah, they just instilled really good morals in us, and we'll be forever grateful. I can speak for my brothers as well, that we'll be forever grateful for how they raised us, like it.
Yeah, and did that play into you kind of growing up as a teenager too? Because I suppose every teenager goes through kind of mad times and stuff.
Absolutely.
And like we were just speaking about it, that kind of social contract that regarding aggression and displays of violence.
That's right.
When you're living with it, you're indulged in that kind of not atmosphere of violence, but that daily training and routine of
that repetitiveness
regarding using your body, as some people classify it as a weapon. But also through discipline. But knowing that ability and then going into society as a teenager with all testosterone and changes in your body.
Of course.
How did that play out then?
I was very lucky in the sense that as a teenager I was so indulged in kickboxing and I aspired so much to be the best. So even as a junior fighter, I would have been near the very, very top in the world, coming through the ranks at like 15, 16, 17, 18, that kind of age. So in terms of like those teenage years and that social aspect, I spent most of those years just training and not being kind of delved into that social side of things where I could have strayed or could have got frustrated, and like you said, testosterone's flying. I was able to just redirect that focus elsewhere. And then as I've gotten older, of course, you prioritise and you kind of make room for a bit of life as well, and your friends and girlfriends or whatever it is, and I have been out. But as I've gotten older, I've found that martial arts for me isn't just a competitive side, whereas when I was younger, it was just about being the best. Now, don't get me wrong, I still want that, but yeah, martial arts for me now is just it's kind of like a way of life, and it's a release, like nearly a meditation for me, you know. Even if I'm having a bad day or whatever, I'm big into running. I can run, or I'll go hit a bag, and it's just it's therapy for me. So I've been able to mold it that way rather than using it to go out and lump some fella that looks at me funny or passes a smart comment. Or it's nice to be able to stay grounded and level-headed, and that kind of freaks people out more when they're looking for a reaction and they can't get it, you know.
Yeah. Have you faced that where someone say, "Oh look, great there as a world champion kickboxer. The whole Hardy guy in the pub.
100%, yeah. I've had it in queues and chippers and nights out and that kind of stuff. People try to taunt you and just simply because they know, and it's an insecurity thing in themselves, you know. Trying to reach, I don't know, try to prove something to themselves or their friends or their girlfriends again, whoever's around them. But I think it freaks them out, and it's more kind of mental warfare when you can just look at them, smile, stay calm, and I kind of get a bit of a buzz out of that. Like,
it's funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
They think. Well, what I found too, though, is there's a lot of people out there who are suffering with mental health.
Completely.
And, they don't have the ability to hurt themselves, so sometimes they know that if they taunt somebody to hurt them, it kind of does that job too.
It's 100%. That's nearly a form of self-harm for them. Like,
knowing like, okay, if this person hits me, I'm going to get hurt as well.
Absolutely.
I've seen that a lot. And it's quite scary too.
You probably see that stuff in your job as well. Like,
And it's frightening that we're at that stage, but
I know, but
that's where we are.
Yeah, and that's society these days in general, and society, I suppose, to the sense of like it's more Irish society anyway. The whole kind of macho approach, like. But sometimes when, like you're saying, it's a form of self-harm, but sometimes like egging people on like that or using those actions is nearly a cry for help as well. You know what I mean? Looking for attention or seeking approval, or you know. So like, it's sad to see it, like. Definitely.
And I suppose tying back to the social contract of it, as any martial arts, there's a high level of discipline and responsibility while you're training and progressing through the ranks of kickboxing or any other martial arts. I'd like to see your take on, I suppose, as you said, anger, frustration, bad days, where we live in a society now where it's not normal to express anger or actions of frustration in society. And have you had that journey where I kind of call it oppressing that feeling, but other people would express it as going through the journey of directing it in a positive, but you have to be trained in that aspect. So you, from a perspective of you are trained in that ability to go through the process of turning something like anger is a positive and a negative, but it affects people in a negative way, where you can turn it into a positive.
Completely,
So like that journey of you developing that skill. Can you talk a bit
of
about
course.
that?
I'll give you two separate topics on it. The first one will be, I know we live in a culture at the moment where everyone's saying like, make sure you talk, it's good to talk, and I agree with it 100%. But there's also different avenues you can go in terms of directing that anger, like you said, and that oppression of keeping it deep inside. And I don't think there's anything better for mental health than physical exercise, to be very honest with you. And there's so many avenues you can go with it. Like I said there, we can touch on it later if you want, but like I've gotten big into running during these lockdowns. Hated running up until the lockdowns. And I find that is the same kind of feeling and therapy I get from kickboxing or hitting a bag, or if you're lifting weights, you're in the gym. There's lots of ways you can redirect that energy, because that's all it is. That pent up anger and frustration is just energy, like, and energy needs to go somewhere. So again, like I said, talk is great, but if you can just redirect that energy elsewhere and use that as a positive, you're only going to feel better in yourself anyway for that. And then on the other side, like you said, the discipline that I've had in dealing with it, I've also had times where 4 years ago this year, I lost my best buddy to suicide, and I didn't know what to do with it. Kind of lost myself along the way, gained ridiculous weight, stopped training, stopped kickboxing. So I think that's when I kind of realised that how important martial arts and stuff was to me, because for, I suppose, nearly 2 years I didn't kickbox at all, and completely lost my way, gained ridiculous weight. As I said, I was up to like 113 kg, like I'm like 79 now, so you can imagine what that was. It's like the old me ate this me, you know. But no, I was in a dark place, but it's just through experience. I suppose everyone's journey is individual anyway, but through those experiences, it's made me who I am now, and I feel like I can I can speak to people about redirecting energy and having those disciplines and things like that.
And during the time of that dark place,